In the name of Allah, the Omnipotent and the Omnipresent. Welcome to all the students of third year Health Administration Department. This is Dr. Khurram Sultan. I hope you all are fine by the grace of Allah. Today we will continue our online session related to the subject of health insurance. Before moving further, I will revise a bit from previous modules that we discussed. We discussed about meaning of insurance, risk and insurance, and what is the connection between risk and insurance. We also discussed about types of insurance, health insurance, insurance as a contract. Then further types we discussed life insurance, traveling insurance, car insurance, house insurance, as well as the property insurance. Today the next topic that we are going to discuss, that is chapter 3. The name of chapter 3 is risk management. This chapter covers further 4 subtopics that we will cover in this chapter. We will discuss one by one in this chapter. The first one, the topic that we will discuss today, this is our target, to discuss the major types of business risk. Then we will discuss major risk management methods, and third one, types of indirect losses due to risk, and the fourth topic that we will discuss in this chapter is major types of personal risk. So these are the 4 major topics that we will cover in this chapter. Today we will discuss the first topic, and that is major types of business risk. First of all, we see what is the meaning of business risk. Then we go further towards the major types that is associated with it. These 3 major types, the first one is price risk, the second one the credit risk, and the third one pure risk. Business risk. The term business risk refers to the possibility of a business making inadequate profit or even losses due to uncertainties. Means any business, either hospital, market or manufacturing unit, is not getting its target. Whatever the target and the goals are set, it's not meeting due to any reason. Here we will see 3 major reasons that is associated with it. The first one, price risk, that is split into two. That the first one is input price risk and the second one is output price risk. First of all, we see the input price risk. Input price risk refers to the risk of changes in the prices that a firm must pay for a labor, raw material and the other inputs for its production process. We take example. For example, if you are making any medicine or any other product, you must need some inputs in order to make finished goods, and if the prices of these raw materials fluctuate in these inputs, that is called input price risk. Reasons can be such as due to inflation, prices of raw material increased, and due to the government taxes, prices of raw material can be increased. So all these are coming under input price risk. Input price risk, all the factors that is necessary in order to start the production. You may call it raw material and other necessary elements that is required. In simple words, I again summarize this point. Input price risk means all the up and downs that is associated with your inputs of the products that you are making. Now the second point of the price risk, that is output price risk. Output price risk refers to the risk changes in the prices that a firm can demand for its goods and services. For example, you set the target price of your product that you will charge from the consumers or the customers, but you cannot get the price due to some reasons in the market, and these reasons can be a low buying power of the consumers, or quality of the product is not up to the mark of the consumers. So due to some other reasons, the consumers or customers, they are not ready to pay the price that you set for the product. So in this way, all these are coming under output price risk. I will continue with the same slides and I will explain each point because it's more easy, and it's also easy for you people to understand from one picture, but the further detail, the explanation also available in the slides. You might have a look upon slide number 4, 5th, 6th, 7, so on, but I will continue the discussion with the same slide because this is the diagram and all the points are available here. So we discussed these 2 points, input price risk and the output price risk. I summarize to both points, input price risk and output price risk. Simply all the fluctuations with your inputs dealing with the internal environment of the business are called input price risk, and simply all the fluctuations with your external environment of the business are called output price risk. In this way, price of your commodity depends upon price of all the inputs. Now the next one, 3 specific types of price risk are commodity price risk, exchange rate risk, and the third one, that is internal rate risk. These 1, 2, 3, these are coming under price risk. One by one we see to each one. First of all, commodity price risk. Commodity price risk arises from fluctuations in the prices of commodities such as oil, copper, oil, gas and electricity, etc., etc., that are inputs for some firms and output for others. For example, you buy raw material from supplier, fluctuation in the price will be input price risk for you and output price risk for your supplier. Means that the price that you paid to your supplier, that is input for you, but the same time that the price you are giving to the supplier, that is output price for the supplier. The second point, that is called exchange rate risk. Given the globalization of economic activity, output and input prices for many firms also are affected by fluctuations in foreign exchange rates. We take an example in order to better understand of this point, exchange rate risk. For example, you are buying raw material, you have a business, you have any business in Kurdistan, you are producing any medicine, okay, and you need supply raw material from other countries, let's say from China, and China will not accept Iraqi dinar as it is not internationally acceptable currency. USD, United States dollar, is accepted across the world. So in this way you will convert Iraqi dinar into USD and will pay for your raw material. Currency fluctuations from Iraqi dinar into USD is called exchange rate risk. We can understand this point by another real example. For example, nowadays $100 is equal to how much Iraqi dinar? If the exchange rate will be high, if the for example $100 is equal to 130,000, 128,000, it's high rate. if we see another side, if the exchange rate $100 is equal to 120,000, yeah, 120 less than, then your dollar will be more and you will buy the things from other countries more and you will pay less. In other side, if the dollar rate is higher, if exchange rate is higher, you will pay more and you will get the less raw material for your production, for your business. Another example, if exchange rate is higher, as I mentioned, from Iraqi dinar to USD, you will get your goods expensive. And if exchange rate is lower, from Iraqi dinar to USD, you will get your goods comparatively cheap due to the exchange rate. In this way, exchange rate affects upon business as risk. You might also observe when dollar goes up, price of all imported goods become high. This is called exchange rate risk. In Kurdistan, most of the things are coming from other countries, Europe, Canada, America, Iran, Turkey, China. So when the dollar goes up, all the imported things, their prices increase, and once dollar goes down, the prices become normal. So this is called exchange rate risk, business having the risk due to the fluctuation in exchange rate. Now the third point under price risk is interest rate risk. This is the third point, that is interest rate risk. Output and input prices also can fluctuate due to changes in interest rates. Interest means riba. In local word, in Arabic we call riba. Interest is the additional amount that you pay to the bank upon the principal amount. For example, we take another example in order to better understand to this point. For example, increases in interest rates may alter a firm's revenue by affecting both the terms of credit allowed and the speed with which customers pay for products purchased on credit. Changes in interest rates also affect the firm's cost borrowing. I explain this point by another way. Let's say we take loan from bank, and if bank will charge less interest rate, that would be beneficial for us. And if bank charge high interest rate, that would not be in favor of business. If you take loan on high interest rate, of course your profit will go down. In this way, it is called interest rate risk. High interest rate, that is not better for any business. Low interest rate, the interest rate upon which you will take the loan from the bank, low interest rate, that is better, and that is in favor of the business. So our first type of business is price risk, that we completed. Now the next category is credit risk, that is second type of business risk. This is credit risk. Credit risk is associated with the amount of receivable that you have to take from your customers. You gave them products on credit and amount is receivable, means you have to take back that amount in near future. You sold the products, you gave them the products on credit, and you have the amount is due upon them, so you have to take from them. And if that amount will not be recovered and can be sunk cost for the business, this is called credit risk. And sometime if amount is higher, this thing can lead toward the bankruptcy. So this is the risk for business when there are many companies, they have a credit sale, so the risk is associated with it. For example, if they are unable to pay back and the amount will become the sunk cost, and you are unable to recover the amount from the customer, so this thing can lead to the business toward the bankruptcy. In future you might have a major flaw from this. So our second type of business is also we completed. Now the third one, last category of major type of risk is pure risk. Pure risk is associated with tangibly and having further three subpoints. The first one is damage to assets. Damage to assets means the risk of reduction in the value of assets due to physical damage, theft, expropriation. Here, expropriation means that the action by the state or an authority of taking property from its owner due to violation or unable to pay the loans. In simple words, damage to assets means if someone will theft your goods or loss in your business due to accident or due to another reason, so this risk is also linked with the business. Second point under pure risk is called legal liability. Legal liability means if you have collected the capital by issuing shares, it's legal liability of the business to return the money to its shareholder. We take another example for this point. There are two modes, as you people know. There are two types. There are two modes for capital in order to raise the capital for any business, either equity or debt. Here, equity means owner's equity and debt means loans. Owner's equity means the capital that is invested from entrepreneur, that is invested from the owner, the amount that is contributed in the capital from the side of proprietor, that is called owner equity. And the debt, there are various types. If you are going to take the loan from the bank, also called the debt, or the second way, you raise the fund from the shareholders. You issue the shares and the people buy, and you people get the business will get the amount. So the second way, the second way is by issuing the shares. So these two ways are there, debt and equity. And if you take debt by issuing shares, it's obligation of the company to return that money to the shareholder. In other words, we may say it's legal liability of the company to return the actual amount that is taken from the shareholders. In case of bankruptcy, it's also risk for any company that how they will pay back this amount that is taken from the shareholder for the capital. So this is the legal liability of any company if they raised the fund, if they raised the further capital by issuing the shares. So this is a legal liability, and in case of the loss, it will be a risk for them how they will pay the amount that's taken from the shareholders. So this is a legal liability for them. Second last point under pure risk is worker injury. Worker injury means that the risk associated with paying benefits to injured workers under workers' compensation laws, and the risks of legal liability for injuries or other harms to the employees. For example, there are many manufacturing firms that have a critical manufacturing line, dangerous way of the production, and if during manufacturing any worker will get injured and will die, it's responsibility of the company to compensate him or her and his family. This compensation can be in shape of bulk cash or any other way to adjust him or her. So in this way it will be loss for the company. The same time, this is benefit for the workers, but from the profit the company will give, and profit will go down. So this is not appropriate. It's a bit this is a kind of loss for the company. The last point under pure risk is employee benefits. Here, employee benefits mean the risk of death, illness and disability to the employees, and sometimes family members for which businesses have agreed to make payment under employee benefit plans, including obligations to employees under pension and other retirement saving plans. These all are benefits for the employees, but at the same time decreasing the profit of the company. The last three: legal liability, worker injury, and the employee benefit. So these were the three major types of the business risk that we discussed today in this session. The first one, price risk, credit risk, and pure risk. In previous classes we already discussed that insurance and the relationship between insurance and risk. If there is a risk, then we need the protection. If there is no risk, then we no need the protection. Insurance, that is safety, protection, in order to avoid from the risk. So these the three types of price risk, credit risk, and pure risk we discussed. At ending minutes, I again summarize this whole session. We discussed the price risk, the first one. Then we discussed the under price risk. We discussed further two categories, that is called input price risk and output price risk. All the points, all the up and downs that is associated with your inputs of the products that you are making, all are coming under input price risk. Raw material from the supplier, all the inputs. And the output price risk, the price, the target price that you demand, that you set from the customer, from the consumer, and due to some reason you are unable to get the price from the customer and consumer, that is coming under output price risk. Further we discussed the commodity price risk, exchange rate risk, interest rate risk. Exchange rate risk, due to the currency fluctuation it comes. As you know, if we buy raw material from other countries such as China, Turkey, Canada, so we have to they are not accepting the Iraqi dinar, so we have the international currency that is acceptable is USD. So we have to convert Iraqi dinar into USD and then we will pay. So the fluctuation that will come due to the exchange rate, that is called exchange rate risk. High exchange rate risk is not favorable for the business, not in the favor of the business. Low exchange rate, less exchange rate is in the favor of the business. And the same way we discussed also interest rate risk. Also high interest rate risk is not good for the business, for any business. Low interest rate risk is better, because interest, that the additional amount that you will pay to the bank, that is the cost, that is cost for your business. Then the second one point, credit risk, we discussed. Credit risk that is associated with the amount of receivable. For example, you sold the products, goods on credit, and the amount that is due on the side of the consumer you have to take, and due to some reason that becomes a sunk cost, unable to get that amount. So this is called credit risk. And sometime if amount is higher, this thing can lead toward the bankruptcy cost. And here sunk cost means the cost sunk that is sunk cost, that sometime you pay more money, you put some more money in order to get the amount receivable. So that is called sunk cost. We also can say sunk cost is the cost that is already has incurred and cannot be recovered. Then the last category we discussed, pure risk. Under pure risk, the first one is damage to assets. Damage to assets means the risk of reduction in value of business assets due to physical damage, theft, and expropriation. In simple words, damage to assets means if someone will theft your goods or loss in your business due to the road accident, so this risk is also linked with the business. And the last three, legal liability, worker injury, and the employee benefit, these three companies, they have to compensate to the employees in case of the injury, or they also have the pension plans for the employees they have to give. But the same way, these all are the benefit for the employees, but the same way these all are the not in the favor for the business, as as it will reduce the profit of the business. And the legal liability we also discussed. For example, if company they issued more shares in order to raise the capital, so it's a legal liability of the company. They have to have give back the amount that they received from the shareholders, so it's legal liability. And in case of the bankruptcy or in any other case, so this is a legal liability, and also this is a risk for the business, how they will pay back that amount. And now we move toward the second topic. Right now here we discuss the first one, major types of business risk. Now we are going to discuss the major risk management methods. This is the second topic that we will discuss, major risk management methods. Again, I will discuss each point here by one slide, as all the points are gathered and available in one picture. Also, explanation further detail is available in the slides 16, 17 and 18. So we go one by one. In previous topic we discussed the major types of business risk. Now in this topic we will see what are the possible ways to reduce the risk, how we can minimize to the risk, and what are the various methods for it. First point under major risk management methods, the first one is loss control, this one, and the second one loss financing, and the third one internal risk reduction. We see to each one one by one. We start with internal risk reduction. Businesses can reduce the risk internally. There are two major forms of internal risk reduction. The first one is diversification, here this one, and the second one is investment in information. Regarding the first of these, firms can reduce risk internally by diversifying their activities. For example, not putting all their eggs in one basket. Individuals also routinely diversify risk by investing their savings in many different stocks. The ability of shareholders to reduce risk through portfolio diversification as an important factor affecting insurance and hedging decisions of the firm. Here I give you one local example. First of all, before the example, might be you also observed shareholders who they buy the shares, they always invest the money in different stocks. They always buy the shares of different companies, and they don't buy usually the wise investors, they don't buy the shares of just one company. They buy the shares of different companies, so in order to reduce the risk. Here I give you local example, Sehan Group, having how many SBUs? Here SBUs means strategic business unit. The owner have invested in different businesses in order to overcome the Sehan University, in order to overcome the risk. The first one, Sehan University. The second SBU of Sehan Group is Sehan Tea, Sehan Motors, Sehan Construction, Jehan TV, Jehan School. All these are SBUs of Jehan. There are very less chances in the same way all the SBUs will be collapse. Same time profit variation can be, but longer time in long run, it's more safe to make portfolio. It was the first way to reduce the risk. The second major method of reducing risk internally is is to invest information to obtain superior forecast of expected loss. Investing in information can produce more accurate estimates or forecasts of future cash flow. For example, the second point we are discussing, investment in information. For example, any person is going to launch new product, opening a new business, uh, or going to launch a new product. It will be more beneficial for him before starting gather the information. For example, where is uh, going to start, from where he has to start, whose target market, how many male, how many female population, so what is per capita income of the individuals. So all this information can be helpful in order to forecasting the future and can be helpful for business planning. And various companies are available who can gather the data for the business. Various international firms are available who they conduct the survey and gather the customized data for the businesses. So by investing in information, risk also can be decreased. So these two methods we discussed under internal risk reduction. The first one is the diversification and the second one is investment in information. Here we stop our today's discussion. We discussed the major risk management methods. The first one diversification and the second one investment in information. Any student will have any question, feel free to ask even in next online session. If you have a question, you are free to ask. So until that, I take leave. Stay safe and happy. See you.